Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 17th May 2025. Welcome to this recap video for our Bhagavad Gita study session, continuing along in our journey of chapter 11. Along with me, here is Mummy.
राधे राधे।
I'll bring up the screen and we shall see what we covered today. We had the usual recap quiz, of course, for last week's content. That was on the introduction and chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. And then today we moved ahead and covered chapter 11, verses 3, 4, and 5. Let's take a look at a summary for these verses. Of course, you can look at the description for the video and get the quiz questions, go through those for your review, and then continue onwards to chapter 11, verse 3.
एवम् एतद् यथा तत्त्वम् आत्मानं परमेश्वर द्रष्टुम् इच्छामि ते रूपम् ऐश्वरं पुरुषोत्तम।
Chapter 11, verse 3 has the catchphrase as a question: Picture, please. No surprise, it is a very, very humble request by Arjun, again with full faith and surrender, requesting to see the cosmic form of Sri Krishna. So, picture, please. Here, as we see in Swamiji's commentary, Arjun continues to use invocations and appellation like terms to, of course, show all his reverence to Sri Krishna. So he's addressing Sri Krishna as that best person. It's not just best person, as we saw in class, it's a perfect person, but also the stress is on the fact that Sri Krishna does have a form and can take on a form. In fact, he can take on innumerable forms. As we saw much earlier in chapter 7 and a few times since then, there are certain situations where people think God is only that impersonal Brahman form, but that is not true. We as humans have the ability to have a form. We are in this current form, and we're thinking that God cannot take on a form. Absolutely contradictory. So that's why, again, Arjun stresses here his respect by using certain invocations and terms. Mummy explained in class. So we have Yog Aishwaram, we have Purushottam, all this perfect person, perfect form, the greatest of persons and personalities. And again, that is laying fact that Arjun is an excellent student, but with full faith and surrender, very, very humble. We'll in fact see more of that humility in the next verse too. But again, here he would like to see that Vishvaroop, that complete divine cosmic form, the universal form of Sri Krishna, which is replete. Remember, replete is abundantly supplied with all these opulences. Of course, Arjun wishes to see that with his own eyes. We shall then go on to chapter 11, verse 4.
मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यं मया द्रष्टुम् इति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानम् अव्ययम्।
Chapter 11, verse 4. Another question for the catchphrase: spiritually strong? Because here again, with Arjun's continuing humility, he is requesting the Lord, right? He has a certain desire, that is to, of course, see the universal form, but he does it by asking and stating, only if Sri Krishna thinks Arjun is strong enough, spiritually strong enough to behold it. We'll talk more about that in the next verse, but only then should and can Sri Krishna reveal that cosmic form to Arjun. So, again, another example. Since last week, we're seeing all these different instances of Arjun's true humility and how we can learn through him when we have this specific desire or this request, and even at much, much less elevated levels. So again, Swamiji says, we know Arjun has that desire. Something has been nagging at him, right? In a good way. He earlier started the chapter by, praising Sri Krishna, by acknowledging that he has heard that supremely confidential spiritual knowledge. How he heard it was only because Sri Krishna had and showed that compassion to Arjun, and therefore the illusion was dispelled. O Sri Krishna, your eternal majesty, all that. The desire is now being revealed here, revealed, lack of a better term, but because Sri Krishna will hopefully reveal to Arjun that cosmic form. So again, appellations, invocations, Yogashvarya for mystic opulence, mystic talking about union with God, absorption with and in God. Then again, Lord of all yogis. Earlier, Arjun had called Sri Krishna just a yogi, meaning master of all yogis. He takes it a level higher here by talking or saying Yogeshwar, because again, he's displaying more and more of his increased respect for Sri Krishna. Finally, let's take a look at chapter 11, verse 5.
श्रीभगवानुवाच पश्य मे पार्थरूपाणि शतशोऽथ सहस्रशः नानाविधानि दिव्यानि नानावर्णाकृतीनि च
So, chapter 11, verse 5, puzzles, pieces. That's the catchphrase here because we are all on this journey to keep eventually getting to that stage of putting the puzzles pieces together. But again, it's not our self effort alone that gets that. It's only vicariously through Arjun and by that compassion and the grace of God that that puzzle actually will come together. In fact, we saw in class that there are different, sort of interchangeable synonym-like terms that Swamiji here has used. You can take that to your kids, grandkids, etc., as a fun exercise. Ask them to describe all the different toys that they have, right? Innumerable, unlimited. Of course, it'll be finite in this case, but various, variegated, all these multitude of shapes, forms, sizes, colors that Sri Krishna here is now giving a preview about. He uses a very important word, pashya. We discussed at length in class. Behold, not just see, but see and also pay very, very close, focused attention. It is something special, magnificent that's going to be unveiled. Therefore, behold, not just see. And we know hundreds, thousands, unlimited of whatever it is. Here, Sri Krishna says forms of various shapes, sizes, and colors. Shatashaha, we learned the word. Sahasrashaha, we learned that. We may understand them, seen them in different mantras as well. And if you take it to the flyer, remember, this is just us right now without that divine vision. So we can at best imagine literally these colored blocks or toys or shapes of different sizes, colors, forms, etc. The question being, puzzled? Where can you see these forms of various shapes, sizes, and colors? Soon enough, in God, with that divine vision that Sri Krishna will be granting to Arjun. He, and then vicariously we too, hopefully, will recognize that all these we're supposed to see God in them, and all these are in God. All that will be unveiled, of course, verse after verse, as that universal form comes through that divine vision to Arjun. So now let's run through these three verses again as Mummy will walk us through important Sanskrit terms and other takeaways and understanding as well.
So from verse 3, let's see the word Purushottam. It is a compound word made out of two, that is Purush and Uttam. Purush means the personality, and Uttam means the best, the supreme divine personality, that is Shri Krishna, Purushottam. From verse number 4, we will look at the word Yogeshwar. Again, Yog plus Ishwar. So, Yog is the way to connect with God. Okay? And so, with different ways and means, we connect with God. And Ishwar is God, Bhagavan. So, he is Yogeshwar. He is the Lord of all those mystic powers. And from verse number 5, let's keep this word very important. Pashya. Pashya means to behold. Behold means it is not a normal seeing. First of all, you cannot normally see what Krishna is going to show Arjun. And so he tells Arjun that you have to behold. You have to be very, very strong, and you have to pay close attention to see that universal form. And what is the universal form in Sanskrit? That is Vishwa Roop. Vishwa means universal and Roop means form. Vishwa Roop. That is what we are going to have darshan from verse number 6 onwards. So, what is happening here? From verse number 3, Arjun's curiosity and interest, it has increased, and it has reached its peak at this point, because Krishna has explained to him everything in theory, so he knows, he has understood all the knowledge, he has understood all the vibhutis, the glories Sri Krishna has. But now, as we all know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, what happens out of our five senses? The organ of eyesight is dearest, because we can hear, but unless we see something, we don't feel very satisfied. So now Arjun is thinking that how magnificent that form is going to be, where entire universe is sustained by only a fraction of God. So Arjun really wanted, he now wants to see how everything originated, how it existed, and how it dissolves in God, and finally how everything was God in essence. Okay. But look at the beauty. He did not command Sri Krishna, or he did not order Sri Krishna. He qualified his request with great deal of humility. Hmm? That is what we see in verse number 4, where Arjun is saying, "O Lord, if you feel me worthy of this, then please, by your grace, show me your cosmic form." And here he uses the word Yogeshwar, because his respect for Sri Krishna has increased many, many fold. So he is asking very politely, and he wants to see it with his drishti, his eyes. He does not want to go on imagining it. He says, Krishna, please, by your grace, show me your universal form. He wants to see the whole undivided form and not in bits and pieces. And now, verse number 5, Sri Krishna says, okay, Arjun, behold, because that universal form is so, so huge. Okay. And it is going to be, it is having unlimited features, and it has what we say, Shatashotha Sahasrasha. That means it has hundreds and thousands of innumerable multitude shapes and variegated colors. So that is what Sri Krishna is saying in this verse. Previous, until verse number 4, it was Arjun talking and asking. And in verse number 5, it is Sri Krishna is saying, O Parth, behold. Okay, so from next verse, verse number 6, in our next session, we will see what Sri Krishna is going to show to Arjun, and through Arjun, we will also all see that. Over to you, Gagan.
Absolutely. Yep. Looking forward to that. So we shall see you all next week. That is Saturday, 24th May, 2025, 8 a.m. Central Time, 6:30 p.m. India time, as we continue collectively on this Chapter 11 journey. Do study for the recap quiz as well, covering Chapter 11, verses 3, 4, and 5. Till then, thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.